Hey guys, I'm Liam Norval and this is Posh Cockney TV and this is our brand new show, London After Lockdown. I'm going to take you on a tour around London to meet some of the biggest names in the hospitality industry, and they're going to tell us how they've adapted since lockdown's been lifted. On this episode, I speak to Lucy Beckwith, the owner of Stardust London. I catch up with Simon Hands from Madello Capital, and I catch up with actor and a good friend of mine, Tony Discipline. First up today, I speak to Lucy Beckwith, who's the owner of Stardust London, which is an incredible immersive event which debuted last year. Lucy, thank you for coming on PCTV. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. How's life treated you after lockdown?
Yeah, it's been challenging. We've had to be, looking at our business models and seeing how we can adapt and the current climate, how things are, and working quickly, if nothing else, and actually creating brands overnight. To survive, really.
Lucy, I met you about 2 or 3 years ago at City Cruises, and would you say that's where you made your name in the business?
Yeah, I think so. My father started the business when it was 40 years ago, and I was lucky enough that growing up through that industry, I was exposed to a great network in London. I managed to make some really big contacts and actually then building my career from the back of that. So it's been really exciting.
Every time there's a new project at the moment, and I ask who's behind it, Lucy Beckwith is behind every single project. That's a testament to you. You've got your fingers in many pies.
Yeah, so I figured that actually I didn't want to have just one thing that I was involved in. Events and people and networks have always kind of been my background, and I really enjoy that social side. So I really enjoy, so as I've met a broad horizon of people, and especially ballsy new projects is kind of my personality. I'm quite spontaneous, and I feel like with those projects we've done, they've been lucky enough to be able to be born out of these kind of situations, lockdown and other situations that are high pressured. So I've really enjoyed that event industry and hospitality, and also then working across, not just one person, working across a broad horizon. So I really enjoyed that.
You seem to be very creative. Do you love that part of the business?
Yeah, so one of my A-levels is in art, so I believe that's part of my brain. It's quite unusual that I do have the business and creative side, so normally you get one or other. I seem to have both, which is definitely my mum and dad. They're both similar characters, so I've been lucky, really.
Lucy, what's it like being a woman in hospitality today?
I'm not sure that it's the women in hospitality, that's a great bit, but it's more about the challenges are the women in business. In hospitality, I tend to find in events it's very female-led because there's a lot of creativity which tend to come from women, and in that position it's quite easy, but the actual business side is slightly more challenging. I think I often have meetings with men who run big businesses, large CEOs and venues, and actually that's the part that I quite enjoy because I can hold my own, and actually having that ability has given me confidence in the things I've decided to do in business.
I saw in December last year you had Stardust, and that looked incredible. Tell us more about that.
So Stardust was a brainchild of mine from the first time I visited Ibiza. I went to Ocean Beach and I recognised what they'd created was unbelievable. Obviously Dubai hadn't taken off, brunches weren't really a thing, and what they'd created was daytime glam. And I then realised that what I wanted to do in the UK was bring something like this back to the UK, but challenging times for festivals where the market was saturated in the winter, in the summer. So winter became the obvious choice to kind of pitch an idea, and it took a 3-year feasibility study. So it wasn't quick, it wasn't overnight. I spent from 23 to 26 kind of looking at what the possibilities would be. And as I started to develop, Wilderness then came out of the woodwork. I then went and saw what they do and wanted to put the two concepts together. So that was then the basic point. It took another 4 or 5 years to get the right team. So I really didn't rush into things. And then we pitched last year. We managed to pull off a really good event. And we changed the face of winter events for not just London, but I think globally, because there isn't a winter event that would stand out like that. And it's more about the immersion and the piecing the puzzle together of getting music and experience-led rather than just being a music-led festival. So really exciting.
Do you think that we'll be seeing Stardust this year?
I think we will have an element. I mean, we were lucky enough in terms of, we were planned to launch in March this year. So COVID obviously then changed that massively for us. We couldn't launch the brand, we couldn't, release our ideas, which is really great this year. The concept's been built. But what we don't want to deliver is a half-hearted event. Ours is very much about immersion in people. So we have free roaming actors, we have, experience-led, which are in groups of people. And this year it's just not going to be safe enough to do that. But we definitely are working with all of the large acts we've been involved with, the concept, and we are going to do something this winter. It's just not on the same scale. We want the brand to survive, and we may look at pitching for, up to March next year, but definitely, for next year, 21, we're definitely going to put back on the map for Winter Festival.
Well, I didn't go last year, but when it's next on, I can't wait to check it out because I saw and heard so many great things. Lucy, in your opinion, what do you think is the future for hospitality in London?
I think it will return. I think it's more of an age proposition for people. The generations are different. I think our generation are, raring to go back to some normality. But I do know that things will return and it will probably be bigger and better than ever. But what's happened in this incubation period is new businesses are going to come out. Yeah. So hospitality will be, as it was changing already, was very much based on like an immersive experience rather than just going to a restaurant. You've now got brunches that have, singers and actors and things. So I do think that hospitality will change. And I think this middle ground of, the drive-in cinemas or, festivals that, that are happening all around, I think they're going to become more futuristic and people are going to enjoy that. There is a massive thing with VR at the moment, and also we've had the opportunity we can be in London at, 10 in the morning and go to a festival in Australia that's, polar opposite. And I think that's actually opened a horizon for other people. You can enjoy things, not just be in the same room. So that's a big thing we've been looking at. Not something we decided to explore too much, but we've looked at all of the possibilities, and I think that's what's come out of this. So hospitality will be good, but it will be different.
You touched on the outdoor cinema, and I actually came to your event this summer. That was excellent. Tell us, was that a success for you guys?
Yeah, it was a massive success for us. I think we managed to, it was so quick. We managed to work with the landowners and the council, which I'm obviously involved in Beckenham. So we were, hot off the mark. We actually pitched the idea to a big nationwide brand in April. So as soon as lockdown happened, I had this brainchild. Let's do a drive-in cinema. Let's bring, nostalgia from America. Let's do Greece. Let's do open cars. Let's get Cadillacs out. So I think we had this idea, and then it just grew. And I was actually, making decisions the day of labour for me, for my second child, and that was pretty intense. We're working through that. So we managed to create a product, and we grew the social following within 2 weeks. We had 4,000 people hitting our page, which is amazing for any new brand. So yeah, it was really successful, and we are going to develop that now. So that brand will come and sit under the Stardust flag, and we'll be able to do our own in-house cinema brand, which is good.
So you just touched on being a mother for the second time. Congratulations. How is that?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, challenging, to be completely honest. Going from 1 to 2 is different. But we're, I'm an entrepreneur is what the terminology I'd use. I really enjoy business, and I really enjoy the success. After the sale of City Cruises, I think as a family we've moved on to new projects, and if nothing else, it's rears me on to do more. And raising 2 children, understanding that a work-life balance is really important, and actually as a female entrepreneur, you've got to do and follow your heart. You've got to be, if you're involved in business. And actually growing up like that, I realise now as an adult what a great upbringing I had. We sat around a board meeting every dinner time. So I think it's a great learning for children, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to be able to juggle both. So yeah, really enjoying it.
Well, I love tracking your success. We've been friends for a number of years now, and keep up the good work. I mean, you seem to be doing so well, and if anyone's going to come out of this COVID-19 pandemic new world, I think it's going to be you and whoever's surrounded you. So thanks for coming on PCTV.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm off to catch up with Simon Hands for a cheeky pint and talk about Madello Capital and what's happening in hospitality right now. Simon, thank you for coming on PCTV.
Thank you for having me.
How have you been?
Good. Difficult times.
I feel so privileged that I've got you in the country.
Yeah, just for a short time. A short time, not long.
Simon, you're one of the most busiest people in the industry. I can't wait to hear what projects you're working on. So tell us what you're doing.
Fortunately enough, yes. Difficult times. obviously, for everybody at the moment. Madello Capital is a business of mine that I'm involved in. There's 5 of us on the board. So we are an asset management investment company. We look after investments for our clients and in some cases our own. Mostly in London, but in some cases in Barcelona, in Spain, certainly in the Middle East. We've done a lot of work there as well, in Beirut, Lebanon, over in Dubai. But yeah, now back in London.
So we met, 4 years ago when you was at D&D?
Yeah, Madison and 100 Wardour Street.
We had some great times, didn't we?
We did. Great times on the roof.
Do you miss them?
I suppose the honest answer is yes, of course. You always miss various businesses that you own or run and manage and operate. But yeah, 8 great years there. Enjoyed my time, but onwards and upwards and onto new things, I suppose.
What do you think about your old company and sort of big chains in hospitality at the moment?
I mean, I've got the utmost respect for Des, the chairman of D&D. You know, he's a phenomenal operator. But D&D works very, very differently to most chain-branded businesses. All of their restaurants are very individual, and they're designed that way and run and operated that way. So I think you get a different offer. I think ultimately the brands that they own and operate are very individual in style, food, design, atmosphere, and I think they'll stand the test of time, I think.
And what do you think about the state of play in London right now since the lockdown's been lifted?
I think it's getting harder, if I'm honest. I'm a London lad, and if you walk around the streets of London, you see just empty streets. There are handfuls of businesses that are busy, but primarily a lot of people are still remaining closed. There's a real nervousness around the market. I don't think people are going out, even though they can. And I think that's to the detriment of our business, unfortunately. But that's the scenario we're facing at the moment.
So you have your ear to the ground on everything in hospitality. What are you advising your clients right now in terms of on the investment side?
Our key strategy really is, it's long-term planning ahead. Short-term, we are going through a very difficult period at present, and that's obvious to the market. But I think we're advising that if investors are staying strong and true to the core principles of hospitality, be that in great design, music, atmosphere, the consumer wants a lot more today than what they've ever have required and requested, and that's up to us as hoteliers, hospitality operations professionals to deliver that.
Yeah.
So our main focus is, it's not about just investing money for the sake of investing money and wasting money. We really advise on strategically planning, certainly in terms of marketing and PR, but also about design. But it goes down to the old sort of fashioned values in business. Choosing the right location and having a great product always stands people in good stead.
I know you're a great guy, but there's a question I would like to ask you. Why do you think so many people gravitate to you for advice in hospitality?
Why? It's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
I think probably my varied career background, I suppose. Having started at Le Gavroche many, many years ago with Albert and Michel Roux, and then worked for Paul, the bakery brand. And then I've been international for many years at Novikov in Moscow, and in Beirut, Lebanon, and in Dubai, and then back to London. I think having an international background probably helps. I think being successful, we've all got weaknesses and we've all got gaps, but certainly being successful helps. And good people work with good people, I think, ultimately.
So you spend a lot of time abroad. I know we're talking about London hospitality at the moment, but how's the rest of Europe coping right now?
Barcelona's tough. We've got some businesses there that are struggling, but the team are resolute, and we'll get through it. I think the challenges with Spain, certainly as a market, is that it opened and the lockdown was ended, but now it's gone back into a second lockdown. I think the tourist market is going to suffer, certainly, and has done, but it'll bounce back. We're confident it'll bounce back.
Do you think that the hospitality industry can survive in London with how things are at the moment?
I think there's already casualties, as you've seen. There's various brands that have either shortened their portfolio of assets, or in some cases completely closed down business, which is unfortunate, especially for the people. Our business is a people business. and they've suffered massively. So yes, I think long term they can, but short term I think there'll be more casualties to come.
Do you think that 2021 will be the year of the startup?
I think you're going to get a lot more entrepreneurship in hospitality.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see many more of the chain businesses that we see today. I think they're becoming obsolete almost, which is a shame because some of them are great operators, but as branded businesses you have to evolve with the times, and some of them haven't, and they've sort of fallen by the wayside. But I think you're going to get more entrepreneurial startup hospitality businesses that are actually not really owned and operated by hospitality professionals. In some cases, look at Louis, for example. You know, a good friend of both of ours. He's a nightclub operator.
Louis Blake at Louis. Yeah.
So a nightclub operator, really by background, and a fashion guy and a music guy, and a super cool guy. And look what he's doing in our business. You know, it just shows you it doesn't have to be an out-and-out restaurateur that runs and operates those businesses.
Let's talk about recruitment now. We're coming to the end of the furlough scheme. How important do you think it is to be multi-skilled these days?
I think it's more prevalent today than it ever has been. I think we would always encourage our team certainly to be multifaceted in the way they run and operate businesses, but that's just my management style and my team styles. But I think today the bartender needs to know reception, the reception needs to know the reservations need to know events, and all of those roles in our business need to cross over, because headcount will shorten. I think headcount will naturally shorten, payroll will become tighter, so businesses are going to be reliant on their teams ever more so.
Do you think technology will play a huge role in the new world that we're going to go into now?
So I thought about this, but yes and no, and I'll explain what I mean by that. I think our business is a people business. It's a front facing, it's a conversation, it's eye contact, it's body language, and I don't think that'll ever change. I think, you know, technically it will become different maybe in terms of ordering processes perhaps, and the way you pay the bill and those transactional movements, but our business is a people business, and people go to great restaurants, hotels, members clubs for the atmosphere, for the crowd, for music, lighting. So people play a huge part in that bit of our business.
What's your favourite place in London to go and wine and dine, or have a drink with friends, or just go and hang out?
Soho House, probably.
Yeah.
Very, very consistent business. Chiltern Firehouse, love it there.
And why though? What makes them special for you?
What makes them special? They remember you, which is quite rare. Being remembered in a city like London, where 10 million people live here, that's quite special. And it's only the small details that matter. So in most of those cases, those businesses remember faces, which is quite a nice touch. They get you your favourite drink or your favourite table where you want to sit. So that means a lot to the consumer, I think.
And when do you think you're going to be opening your own venue where we can finally work together on a huge project?
Again, 2021.
Really?
I think that's probably the timeline. We've just finalised legals for a site in Knightsbridge, and we were due to do that at the end of 2020, but we've pushed that back now to 2021. So we'll be working together next year, I'm sure.
I love your positive energy. I love we chat a lot during the week and speak about what you're up to. And I don't think there's anyone that I know in hospitality that is as driven as you, and it's a testament to you. So my question there is, what motivates you? How come you've got such a drive to make a name for yourself in this business?
I think it probably comes down to, in my view, that's all you've got. Success comes and goes, wealth comes and goes, but you've only got your reputation and your name really at the end of it, and that's really very important. So I think that's probably what motivates me. I think making a successful business is always a huge motivation, but also the team around that. It's nice to work with guys and girls that are, sort of 18, 20 years old, and they work for you for a number of years, and then they become assistant managers, restaurant managers, bar managers, and in some cases general managers. I couldn't tell you the number, quite a few now that are actually very successful restaurateurs in their own right that have worked under me, which is probably the biggest motivation.
Who do you look up to in the industry?
Who do I look up to? Apart from yourself?
Apart from me.
Before you retired.
You touched on Michel Roux. And
Yeah, I think from a fine dining perspective, yes. Jean-Michel Oriot, who I worked with at Paul and Ping Pong, I worked with him for 5-6 years, was a huge inspiration and a real great teacher and leader. And even Des, Des at D&D really looked after me very, very well. I had 8 great years at Madison and 100 Wardour Streets, which is a huge, huge business to run and operate in London. So yeah, Des as well was a huge inspiration, certainly. How much do you think you've learned over this period, personally? I think if you haven't learned, you've made a mistake. Just as people generally, I think you value family more. I think friendship, your real friends. Mm-hmm. I think when lockdown came, if your phone didn't ring for people being concerned and how are your friends and family, you really know your real friends when you get those calls, mm-hmm. and that means a lot. So yeah, that was quite nice to see. Well, fantastic. Simon, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking me. Best of luck for the future, and I look forward to 2021. Big things happening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Cheers. So I've decided to speak to my friend Tony Discipline about the arts world and theatres right now. With a £1.57 billion grant from the government, will that be enough to save it? Let's find out from Tony. Tony, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, sir. I'm very well.
Thank you for coming on PCTV.
No problem. Thank you for having me, mate.
So what have you been up to? Have you gone out eating, drinking, partying anywhere recently?
Yeah, recently. Obviously now things are sort of slowly starting to open up and that. Been out in Blackheath a little bit, Bexley Heath, quite local really. Not ventured uptown just yet, but yeah, started to go out with. There's a place in Bexley Heath called Blend. Okay. A friend of mine owns that. So we go there quite a bit, which is quite nice. But it's great to see, things starting to open up now, and people can finally get out and sort of enjoy themselves, and
So we met maybe 6-7 years ago at Café de Paris.
Yes.
You stumbled in one night, and we've become friends ever since.
We did.
What do you think about clubs? I mean, you started your own club nights, didn't you? Demure
parties. Yeah.
And they were going really well.
It's going really well. Yeah. We sort of done London, Essex, Kent. And we had a few sort of events lined up, pre-lockdown. Yeah. Obviously, we've had to sort of postpone that now. But yeah, we've done some great events. I mean, do
you think it's going to be hard for promoters now to get back to a new normality?
I think it is. I think a lot of people, while going to pubs, restaurants, and bars, I think that's going to really pick up. I think the club nights, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult because it's just such a vast amount of people in such close proximity, Tony, most people will know you as Tyler Moon on EastEnders, but I've also seen on your Instagram that you're doing a bit more filming these days. Yeah, so I've done a bit of filming a little while ago for a film called The Drugs Game. Uh-huh. Good friend of mine, Clark Tribe, he produced it, directed it, and yeah, it was really good. It was great getting back in front of the camera, and...
you love it, don't you, being behind the camera?
I love it, yeah. I love it in front of the camera. Yeah, it is my passion. Whatever I've sort of done in life, I've always sort of gone back to the acting. But yeah, so that comes out at the end of this year, and then got another film called Ria coming out at the beginning of next year.
Fantastic.
Which is produced by another good friend of mine, Amar Adatia. So yeah, it's been good.
Let's talk about theatres in the UK. So the government's just given a £1.57 billion grant to arts in the UK. That's obviously going to help.
Yeah, it is. And theatre is such a for actors. You go so long without getting a job, kind of thing. Especially panto. Yeah. Panto is so important for actors' money each year, right. Because you can go 6 months without having a job, 3 months, panto pays pretty well. So I'm just hoping by this Christmas, a lot of actors can actually go and do panto, to full capacity crowds.
Yeah, you've done last 2 years you've been in panto. Where were they?
That's right. So the first year I had done in Wrexham, North Wales, which was good. Stayed in a place called Llangollen, which was really nice, very picturesque. And then last year I done in a place called Telford. Okay. Yeah, which was cool.
Any plans for this year?
I probably won't do it this year, but a lot of my colleagues and friends are going to do it this year. And again, like I say, it's important for actors to do panto, but also, you know, behind the scenes, you know, the props guys, the makeup people, you know, it sustains a lot of people's wages. So
yeah, it'd be great if by Christmas things are back to normal and you know, panto and theatres. You think about all those people that, you know, sell the programs, you know, sell the popcorn. There's jobs there, aren't there? So we really need to get back into what we used to know. But we know it's going to be a new normal. But Tony, you mentioned you haven't been up to London yet. But what is your favourite place to go out and eat?
To go and eat, I'll be honest. I always like going to the Duck and Waffle. You know, usually when I go uptown, I do like to go and see a show at the theatre. Then followed by Duck and Waffle. Probably a few cocktails afterwards at the Me Hotel on the rooftop.
Very good night, that sounds like.
Yeah.
What's next for Tony Discipline?
So, like I say, I've got these couple of films coming out end of the year, beginning of next year. Just sort of do more projects. You know, as I said earlier, I absolutely love acting. I'd be happy, you know, doing it for free, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's more sort of, for me, it's more like it's a need. You know, then I need to do acting. It allows me to be, you know, present in the moment, and I feel most comfortable when I'm, you know, playing a part and stuff. So, yeah, just more of the same, really, mate. To be honest,
I can't leave you without asking the question that everyone asks: is Tyler Moon coming back?
I don't know, really. It's kind of down to the writers and producers at EastEnders if they feel like there's an adequate storyline for Tyler to come back to. I would just say never, to be honest, mate.
Well, I wish you all the best, Tony. Look, we're friends and we're going to always be by each other's side, so best of luck for the future, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Cheers. So thanks for watching Posh Cockney TV. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please subscribe below and hit the bell to be notified on future shows.